Happy Micro Monday. I'm going to go ahead and demo tomorrow's lab. Most of you are going to be working on antimicrobial susceptibility. So we're going to be working with plates. And first thing I'm going to do is label my plate. I'm going to have you do quadrants for this lab. And you're going to be testing 2 bacteria, E. coli and S. epidermidis. I'm going to get a plate for each. So I've got my quadrants. And I'm just going to go ahead and put on S. epi. Start with that one. And make sure your group name or your initials are also on the plate. And then for this lab, instead of a loop transfer, we're going to use a sterile swab. But you're still going to need to go ahead and get your flame going, because when we apply the antimicrobials, you're going to be working with 4, that's why we have quadrants. You're going to be using forceps, and that's what you're going to have to sterilize with the flames. So, got my flame going. The other thing we have is I'm going to use alcohol to help sterilize the forceps. So you put a little in the small beaker. I'm going to put the forceps in there, and every time I use my forceps to apply the antimicrobial discs, I'll take the forceps out of the alcohol, shake it off a little, and then give them a little flame. And then you can go ahead and use them. Make sure they're cool before you set them back down. And then highly flammable alcohol. Okay, we're using the 95% ethanol bottles for that. The other thing you're going to want to grab is a squeeze bottle of sterile saline to use. This lab, because we're testing both S. epidermidis to the E. coli, we want them to be the same concentrations. And if we have to alter any concentrations of the bacteria cultures, we're going to use the sterile saline. And we're also going to use a standard. This is called a McFarland standard, to ensure that our 2 bacteria are at the same concentration. You know, that way, like, the E. coli isn't stronger than the S. epi, sort of giving us the false idea that the E. coli or the gram negatives are stronger. We want them to be the same so that they're the same strength when you test them against the antimicrobials. And the way we do this is with the standards. You're going to get a card, and you can hold that card behind your cultures. And the idea is that they should be sort of equally clear. Each one should be equally clear to the standard. It's not about color. This is about turbidity. This is about cloudiness. So I'm looking at the S. epi, and we compare it to the McFarland standard. They're both pretty clear. I mean, the S. epi is obviously colored, but the black lines of the card can be seen equally. So I'm not going to dilute that S. epi since it's pretty clear. The E. coli's are a little different. And by the way, you want to make sure these guys are mixed up, so I'm just giving this a little shake against my hand. Make sure the E. coli that's settled on the bottom gets evenly dispersed throughout the culture column. See if I can compare the E. coli to the McFarland standard. So the E. coli is just a little bit cloudier. Not much, but just a little bit. And so I'm going to squeeze some sterile saline into that to dilute it. get it the same turbidity as our standard. And now the E. coli and the SFB equal strength. So I'm going to start with the SFB and give it a little mix. And to transfer the bacteria onto the plate, again, I'm going to use the sterile swab. Open it up. Stick the swab down in there. I'm going to squeeze off any excess by pressing it on the side of the tube. Put the cap back on. Can't do it left-handed. And then I'm just going to really heavily inoculate the plate by streaking really wide streaks to get like an even coverage of the whole surface. And then your swab can go into the biohazard. Now I'm going to get my antimicrobials on there. And again, you're going to test for, we're going to do ciprofloxacin, penicillin, chloramphenicol, and there should be trimethoprim in here. Trimethoprim. So it might help if you label your quadrants with the antimicrobial name, just to keep it straight, and I would do that the same way on both plates. So I'm just going to write cipro, phenicol, trimethoprim, and penicillin. So P for that. So I've just kind of got them labeled for my antimicrobials. The antimicrobial itself is on a paper disc. That's what you're using to transfer. And from that paper disc, then the antimicrobial solution can dissolve, or not dissolve, but diffuse through the agar. Alright, so I've sterilized my forceps and let them cool off for just a second. And I'm just going to go in here and grab one of these guys. And I'm going to stick it right in the center. I'm doing trimethoprim, so I'm going to put it in the trimethoprim labeled quadrant. Give it just a very light poke so it stays on the agar, and right in the center. And then put the lid back on. Your plate, anytime you're not actively using it, keep that lid on. The lid back on the antimicrobial. And I'm just going to do it again for the next one. Let's see, I've got Cipro, got my forceps, and the alcohol. Flame them really quickly, let that burn out. Got like one out. There. Put it on. Open my petri dish, lay that antimicrobial disc, touch it down lightly. Got it there. And I was going to do that for all four, and then I'm going to set up another plate and have that run the E. coli. And then we're going to put these in the incubator for 2 days, and on Thursday you'll look at them, and if the antimicrobial is strong enough to work on the bacteria, you'll see what we call a zone of inhibition. On this plate, looks like your ciprofloxacin did about the best. See that nice circle where the ciprofloxacin has diffused onto the agar, and the E. coli has not been able to grow grow in that area. And that's it. So we'll set this up tomorrow, and I'll see you in lab.